I just also wanted to talk today. I'm broadcasting live Queen Shalisha, but I'm really just going to say I'm the bride of Christ. And so we know 11/11/2017, I was singing I am the bride of Christ. We know that's the judgment day and the fall of Babylon. And I just want to say, it's so crazy when I was watching some of the Bride of Christ videos. People really think that the bride of Christ is not going to be chocolate. Still don't believe that God is chocolate and that he has a chocolate bride. They you know what? You don't believe in the bride of Christ. You talk about the bride of Christ, people talk about the Bible, but they really don't get it. You wasn't never going to be choosing for a bride of Christ because you really don't believe in the bride of Christ. If I come to someone right now and say I'm the bride of Christ, I was singing in 11/11/2017, didn't know that was 11/11 until I had to see an actual video to confirm it. I didn't know I was the bride of Christ. But if you come to someone and you give them all the proof that you are, they're still going to say you're not the bride of Christ because people don't want to believe. Just like when Jesus came and said, I'm Jesus, they didn't believe he was Jesus. And I just want to share a vision at Mount Olive. When I got to Mount Olive, the white Jesus came up with blonde hair. He ran up with so much energy. But then there were two Jesus basically fighting over me. It was the white Jesus and the black Jesus. They were fighting over me. And spiritually, the white Jesus ran up to get me, but the black Jesus was regular black man, the same color as me, and he had his head down like this. And he had no energy, and I kept saying, I didn't know which one to go with. And I kept saying, you could come up too in a spiritually vision. I'm like, you could come up the mountain too. I'm telling the dark one. And spiritually, and the inside, he was saying, but you really don't like me. You like you like the white Jesus. And what it is, I was already programmed as a kid to watch the Moses and watch the cartoons that are white. Because we know Jesus is Jesuit. Jesuit is white. So it's so sad that I jumped on the white Jesus back and basically went with him and left the other black one behind, and the black one standing here, and he's watching me go with Jesus and float with Jesus on his back. So basically what Jesus is saying is, by you, when I'm saying Jesus, I do see Jesus as white, honestly. But when I say Yahweh or Yeshua, I see him as black. That's why I end up learning that name. But what it is people have jobs to do on YouTube. They're getting a YouTube check. So they can't have their kingdom fall because of me or whatever. But that's the difference. God told me to obey. He told me to obey. Whatever he told me to do is obey. And he said, this is my channel. The channel belongs to Yahweh. It belongs to Jesus Christ. But when I say Jesus, I'm just being honest. You guys are taking his power away by saying Jesus. That's what he's saying in the vision. But when I accepted him as Yeshua HaMashiach, I see him as a black Jesus that's carrying the bride. So the Robert Breaker, remember Robert Breaker said, you guys can't call him Jesus when he come back. It's true, you can't. You can't. And don't be afraid of what people is going to say. That's why I'm going to tell you right now. I'm just going to say this right now. When you're on YouTube and you're doing things for ads and you're doing things for the money, then you're going to miss out on Jesus calling for your life. You're going to miss out on Jesus calling for your life because you're worrying about, oh, how much money I'm making on YouTube. So when people, like I said, when people have these videos about, they're telling you for a reason. Nothing's not for a reason. But see, I don't have a business on YouTube. So when I learn something new, even though you don't pressure anybody, like if I accidentally say you don't pressure anybody, but I'm thank God that I learned that because it made me It made me more intimacy with him. It made me more happier to know his real name. It made me happy. It gave him strength to come back. Because, like I said in the vision, when it was two Jesus, it was a black Jesus and a white Jesus. And the black Jesus had no energy. His head was just down, and he just felt bad about himself. Like how I that's why he picked me, because I do feel bad. I remember I kept saying I feel bad about my color. I feel bad about my skin. That's how Jesus feels. He feels bad about his skin tone. He feels bad about who he was when he came on earth. And so I had to share that vision with you, and God wanted me to share that vision with you of, we have to find, honestly, we're going to have to, all of God's people, we're going to have to find a job eventually. We might have to find a job if, like, because the government doesn't want black people to have nothing. They don't want me to have nothing. I'm talking about me. They don't want us to have nothing. So when a God person goes to work, we're going to have so many issues at work because they don't like to deal with God's people. They don't want to deal with God's people. So some of God people have to get a job on YouTube because they're scared their kingdom's going to fall, because they know it's so hard. It's going to be hard for them to keep a job, because when you're chosen, you're going to have so many issues at your job. You're going to have so many issues at your job because you're chosen. But the government they don't believe in God. They automatically say you're bipolar if you read the Bible. And you are, because you really think about it, because they know that my mood is going to change with Jesus. If Jesus is pitiful, I'm going to feel pitiful. I feel his feelings. If he's happy, I'm going to be happy. If he's grieving, I'm going to be grieving. I feel everything he feels. And so, that is the thing. God is not going to say, he's not going to look me up. And I just want to also clear up, when I was talking about ushering, I meant that for my cousin. I meant that for my cousin Lewis, because they pressured him so much about things he didn't do in church, things we didn't do. And I couldn't say Lewis because I wish he could have been with me. I wish Lewis could have been there when I did that nightmare, because I wanted to say, see, Lewis, remember when they want you to do this, they want you to usher, they want you. I meant that for him. I've never ushered in church, but I washed dishes and I did help with dinners. I might not did it as much as they wanted. And that's because I was never chosen to be in church. I was chosen to be a prophetess, and for the bride of Christ. So I thank God for the videos, because it helped me get ready to see the bride of Christ. It helped God to come back so he could come and get the saints of God, because the saints should judge the world. The saints should judge the angels, because the saints never was in the flesh. The saints never had felt pain and rejected and mocked and thrown jabs at you and persecuted. And like I said, people have bride of Christ videos, but if they see me singing the bride of Christ, they're going to block me. Some people might block me because they're not going to believe it. So I don't know why people don't think that the bride of Christ is not chocolate. Jesus is chocolate. And yes, I'm going to say it right now. You could call him whatever you want to call him. But like Robert Brecker said, you have to call him by his name in order for you to see him as, if you're not seeing God as black, when you say Yahweh, I see him as black. But when I say Jesus, I see him as white. Let's keep it real. I do. I'm just being honest with you. I have to share this with you. This is a secret that I have to share with you and have to clear this up, because I know somebody called the church and probably asked, do she usher? I know they did, but I never cleared that up, because I was really talking about a vision that I really had, that I really saw. And plus I had so many assignments to do. So, hey, yeah, pick out my flaws. Yeah, she's a liar. She's not really the bride of Christ.